let's do this.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Welcome to Talking Shop. We have a full table. We told you Mike would be back, and he is back with us. And look who showed up.
Hola, mi gente.
It's been a while since we had Ernie at the table. It's good to have him back. People were asking about you in the comments occasionally. People wondering what happened. I said you were dead, but apparently
Jesus is good.
You're not.
Right.
Yeah.
Jesus is good.
So we got a great text where you get to just hammer down on your people and expose them for all their arrogance and pride and. Well, yeah. I mean, that's kind of what you're going to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a great text about what defiles a person. Is the stuff on the outside that goes in or the stuff within that comes out? And, Jesus just lets them have it. It's Mark 7, 14 to 23. Like, subscribe. Let's get after it.
Leave away, spit out my Lord in every way. Yet I'm still welcome.
So, Mark 7, 14 through 23. Jesus calls the people to him again. And says what? What shocking statement.
Hear me.
Oye.
Okay, besides that, of course.
There is nothing outside a person which defiles a person or makes common a person, to use kind of the ritually impure language.
And I think actually we should talk about that a bit before we get into this. Is we hear this normally the way I think I've always heard it, and the way I think our people will probably hear this. When they hear what defiles a person, they're going to literally say, "Okay, what makes me sinful?"
Yeah.
Right. What is it that from whence sin comes or whatever? And I'm not even saying that's a bad conclusion to get from here, but the context. The language deals with what is common versus what is clean, I guess you'd say, right?
Yeah.
And so this is ritual language.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, this isn't necessarily about sinfulness. This is what you might say what keeps you out of the presence of God, which again, we know sin does that.
Right.
But we would, and even during Jesus' day, they would say, even if you kept everything right, there's still certain steps you take in order to come into the presence of a holy God.
Because this is in the context of last week's passage, the ceremonial washing of the hands before you eat.
Right.
So it's on the heels of that. And there, Jesus was pointing out, these people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. And we talk more about the heart this time.
Yeah. So that's a good point. Yeah. So, connecting it back to that, what happened last week. And understanding, I think, kind of what Matt said is this deals with like how are we allowed in the presence of our God, right? And so that's what all of this has to do. So if you think back to the Levitical code, tent of meeting, all these sorts of things, there was a process to cleanse yourself to be in that presence, right? And so he's attacking, I think, a lot here, or he's challenging, maybe you would say, a lot of commonly understood practices about what is clean and unclean. So it's not simply, I thought I was sinless or something. It's rather, I thought I had the process down by which I could come into the presence of God. And he's challenging or he's attacking all that, right? So the challenge is, he says that there's nothing on the outside that comes within a person that's going to defile them, right? Or make them now common, so not cleansed.
Right.
What's he kind of getting at there? Or how are people going to hear that, I guess? Maybe that's...
Well, so this was, and again, going back to last week, this was really you might say a kosher conversation.
Okay.
I like that.
What are those things that we do to set ourselves apart? And even going more to kind of pushing on last week, so if God demands this, we're going to do these things, right? So if he asks us to wash our, this is not what he does, but if he asks us to wash our fingers, we're going to wash our whole hands, right? Or if he asks us to wash our hands, we're going to wash all the way up to the elbow, right? So we're going to make sure we're really clean.
Yeah.
Really clean.
And so what Jesus is really attacking is this idea that we cleanse ourselves.
Yeah.
And that those things that we stay away from on the outside are actually what cleanse us. So in this case, staying away from which they all kind of would have, but unclean foods, but not so much unclean foods as biblically unclean, but unclean as the rabbi hasn't approved them, or they don't come from the kosher farm, or whatever it happens. We're going the one step over.
Sure.
And Jesus says none of that, whether it comes from the kosher farm or the not kosher farm, that actually doesn't make you unclean.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the person that, obviously this is not us, cheers, who believes that drinking is sinful, it's wrong, inherently wrong. And so they say, I'm not even going to go near or near a bar.
Right.
So that little extra step on the human addition.
So that I stay clean.
Yeah. And actually, you go all the way back to Eve, and that little addition that she gives, we are not to eat that fruit, neither are we to touch it.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Yeah.
This little extra hedge added for free.
Yeah.
So he gets into a house, his disciples say, hey, what was up with that?
Yeah, right.
They want to know about this, and they call it here a parable, which is interesting. And he again, he kind of challenges him. Are you also without? You don't understand. You don't perceive this. You don't see this. And he just doubles down. Those things that come from outside, they go into your body.
Yeah.
They're not making you defiled.
Right.
Because what is on the outside that you consume goes where?
Well, it gets spit back out.
That's right.
To some extent.
To some extent, yeah.
In and out.
It enters not his heart, right? And this goes back to what Mike said about comparing last time, where he said that their hearts are far from him. Right?
Yeah.
So
this is like how far?
Yeah. So this it enters not the heart, goes in the stomach, gets expelled, goes to the latrine, and that's the course of it. That's the movement of its food. That's what we all know.
Yeah.
You get this. I think in our English text, you get a parenthetical statement that he declares all food clean.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Is the way it's usually.
And you can
lined up.
cross-reference that to Acts 10 when Peter has his vision to eat all the unclean meats on the tray. And he's like, Lord, never shall I.
Yeah.
Except that's not actually about foods. I don't think this one's about foods either.
No,
but that's,
right.
That's,
well, if you want to jump ahead, the next passage is a Syrophoenician woman.
Right.
A Gentile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I think is fascinating, though, is he's literally saying, he goes, look, the food isn't going to make you unclean.
Yeah.
That's the point.
In essence, the food's not the issue.
That's not the issue.
Right, because the stuff that comes in that's supposed to nourish you does, and the rest of the stuff leaves. The bad stuff goes away.
That's right.
That's actually what our intestinal system does. It takes the good and sends out the bad.
That's
so
right.
Delicious.
yeah.
and so then our Lord gets to the heart of it. He says it's what comes out of a person that defiles him. And he gets to the, what does he mean by comes out is that which comes from the heart.
Yeah.
So this is that core of mankind, if you will, his seat of emotion, this place that his being or his soul kind of comes from. Like, this is the place. And what he describes is not nice.
No. It's huge. It's humbling. It kills. What comes to that litany of lusts in verse 21.
Yeah.
It sets us apart from those who believe man is basically good.
Yeah.
Like so many religions and so many philosophies assume that humans are basically good. This takes care of all of that. Eradicates it.
If you can walk away from this list without condemning yourself, you're lying to yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because, envy and coveting, I'm pretty sure we could all hang our hats on that one, if nothing else. So.
Maybe you.
Well, all right. Ernie is back, I guess. Sorry.
Well, we'll get to sexual immorality.
Hey, welcome back, Ernie. Whoa, that went quick.
So all this stuff comes from within. So in other words, there's something wrong inside as far as this goes. Like it's not. So it's not this outside trigger that is like tricking you into these sorts of things. This is what comes out of man.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is the problem, right? So it's not observing these, it's not washing your hands the right way or the wrong way
Right.
that is going to save you. The problem is far
Yeah.
deeper.
Well, and even going back to his analogy of it doesn't enter the heart. So even if those things could cleanse you, they actually won't get to the heart of the problem.
Like,
right?
literally.
They literally
Yeah,
won't get
right.
to the place
Yeah.
that needs to
Right.
be
Yeah.
clean.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it really doesn't matter. Yeah, I wish our lectionary would have paired this with Genesis 6. Because there, as God is preparing to send the flood, and Noah, Genesis 6:5, is that God sees the wickedness is great in man, and then he says, and every intention and of the thoughts of his heart is only evil all the time.
Only evil all the time.
All the time.
And he is sorry he made that.
Yep, yep, and he regrets that
And
he
I
had
like
made
that.
them. Yeah.
I was thinking pair that with Ezekiel 36, which is more on the gospel side of it. I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit
Yeah.
in you. I will remove from you your heart of stone and give you a heart of flesh.
Yeah, well, that's the other side
Yeah.
of it that you can
gospel side.
definitely
So
pull into.
there is I was kind of joking around when we did the little intro about this is where you're going to hammer down on your people kind of thing. But the reality is this is an easy text to preach where you're going to you can in essence systematically strip away all those hiding places they want to go.
Yeah.
To say they're not really that bad. Kind of like
Right.
what you're saying, like,
Yeah.
I'm basically good.
Yeah.
I've lived a good life.
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in other ways that like all people have somewhere that they've kind of devised for themselves, say this is where I'm clean enough, whatever
Yeah.
that might be.
Right.
And it could be actions, all these sorts of things, but it's not actually addressing the real issue.
Right. Right.
Well, I think it's important to address and even preach about original sin in its entirety and
Sure.
what that brings to the table. I think a lot of people have misconceptions and misunderstandings of original sin
Right.
and what has come from that for all of us
Right.
who have fallen short to the glory of God. That's a very big, because again, Christianity, if we don't understand original sin for what it is, Christianity
Right.
becomes just morality.
Right.
It becomes following a set of laws in
Yeah.
hopes of that you've appeased God in some
Right.
way, shape, or form.
It becomes making our own clean rules. As long as I stay away from this, as long as I do
Yeah.
those
Right.
things,
and
as
I've
long
done
as I do
maybe
that,
this
I'm fine.
kind of sinful, but then
Right.
I've done all those good.
Yeah.
It becomes a transactional thing.
Yeah.
It morphs into something else when in fact you got to lay down the hammer, as you said. Just say, this is who we are, and that's
Yeah.
why it's only Christ and,
Yeah.
and nothing else.
I get, in all the years I've been a pastor, the amount of times I've had some conversation along the lines of this, where you're talking to somebody and they're like, oh, my daughter, I'm concerned, she doesn't go to church anymore, she's in Dulles, wherever, and they go, but she doesn't drink or smoke, and you're like,
She's got a good heart.
Literally,
So?
physically.
Yeah, right.
The black lung,
Like we get that, like it's become, because in a lot of ways Christianity, just like you're saying, if we're not addressing original sin in its entirety,
Yeah.
it becomes this.
I'm trying to do good.
We're gonna massage all the things we can control to try to
Yeah.
make it. Hey, we're clean, we're good.
Yeah.
Because one of those
Yep.
hiding places that people tend to go is the heart. They think that verse, man looks on the outside, but God looks on the heart. They think they can derive comfort from that verse.
Very
This
good.
verse proves that
Maybe
that
not
is
so much.
no hiding place.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can run, but
So-
you can't hide.
So
Yeah.
the great thing then is when there's no hiding place within yourself,
There's only the
there is
refuge.
only refuge in one person.
He's our
Jesus
hiding
Christ.
place. Our
So,
lives are
so
hid.
it becomes a complete emptying of yourself, or an emptying of your hearers of the sermon, and what you're putting in those empty hands
Yeah.
is Christ alone,
great.
right?
Yeah.
That's great.
This is everything now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't have cleaned your heart anyway.
Right.
So instead, it's drowned and born anew. In
Yeah.
Christ.
Right.
So,
right.
so why don't we preach a sermon that is 10 steps on how to be a better Christian? Why do we always preach the cross? Every Sunday.
Yeah, right. Well, it's because it's all we have, right? This is it.
Because 10 steps will only make us a cleaner Christian. It
Cleaner.
won't make us
You
an
just
actual.
you just drove past the Grand Canyon, right? You take a running leap,
I don't remember.
and some of the ceremonial washing will get you 10 feet further out, but still 5,000 feet down.
Yeah.
So, so I mean, I think it's a good text to preach. I think absolutely because people are going to be uncomfortable because you should expose things.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it also provides the opportunity to preach Christ in all His
Yeah.
beauty and
Full
wonder.
counter.
Yeah.
Just that this is what it means. Like you guys have already said that He's stripping away from these externals that you think you can control, which means there's only one thing that you have left, and only one hope, and that has nothing to do with you cleansing yourself and everything.
Yeah.
Right.
And
And
as-
go ahead. I was just going to say, ironically, that does come from the outside.
Yeah, absolutely.
Christ
Mm-hmm.
on
It's
the
outside of your heart.
Right.
He's going to do it. Yeah.
He's the heart
Yeah.
specialist.
Yeah.
But as you prepare that sermon, you always want to keep in mind the hearer and how their old Adam does not want to hear what you're about to say.
No.
They will be offended in some degree, or even deny, or even stubbornly say, no, that's not me, that's not me, that's not me. But that's where the Hebrews 4:12 double-edged sword,
Oh,
law
yeah.
gospel.
We've had people leave our church because we talked about the sinful nature.
I always wonder with people, like, I just want to hear the good stuff. I don't want
Yeah.
to hear, I don't want to go there.
Right.
You talking about sin is just, that's a downer to me. And I
Yeah.
always wonder, well, what is there,
Am I
why-
sinful because I sin, or do I sin because I'm sinful? That's my nature. I do what my nature dictates I do, as pointed out here. All these things are coming from within, from the heart, and that's why I'm sinning. My outward actions isn't what corrupts, defiles me. I'm already corrupt,
Yeah.
and I'm living it out.
It's a
You
far bigger
defiles
problem
your
than you
actions.
ever
Yeah.
imagined. Yeah.
Well, and as I've told my people, though, the reason that we can go to this place, the reason that we can actually
Okay.
expose sinfulness for what it is because we actually know a merciful God.
Absolutely.
We
Yeah.
know a God who, when we confess our sins to Him,
He's
He is faithful and just
Forgive us.
to forgive our sins and cleanse us from all unrighteousness. Cleanse us
Yeah.
from all
Amen.
unrighteousness.
All right.
For sure.
Good stuff. Leave any comments below on how maybe you're going to preach this. Give some, let the community kind of share in some of that. It's good to have everyone here. Check out crafterpreaching.com for an article about this text and how possibly to preach it as well. Kind of dive in a little deeper. And we will see you next week. God bless your
This
preaching.
doesn't defile me.